Hi, I'm Karl Konrad and welcome to Australian Immigration News, proudly brought to you by Australian Immigration Law Services here in Sydney. The budget released last week brought into focus a few new issues in relation to visa processing. The backlog and the amount they're actually spending to fix this is the first concern of the rank. Last week in the excellent Four Corners program called Breaking Point, the Home Affairs Minister Claire O'Neill was asked about how they are going with processing the backlog of visa applications. The reporter pointed out that in relation to the processing backlog numbers for the temporary and permanent visas, the department was actually going backwards. Let's listen to what she had to say.
Your department has sent us the statistics of how you're going. You are making some progress, but you're barely chipping away at the temporary skill pile because of the number of new applicants, and you're actually going a little bit backwards in the permanent visa pile. How on earth are you going to get on top of it?
So we've lifted the staffing numbers right back up, not just to where they were in a normal operating environment pre-COVID, but actually lifted them up significantly in an attempt to get those processing times down.
Now, when the government first took office, it repeatedly took aim at the former Liberal management for cutting nearly $900 million from the Immigration Department's budget. They said the Morrison government had lost sight of the importance of migration and visa processing to the economy. So what has the government done to put that money back into where it is needed the most, to help save us from these skills shortages? The ABC was digging a little deeper to find out.
Just before the election, the coalition cut nearly $900 million from the migration budget.
Are you actually reversing that cut or shifting money around?
A little bit of both. So we have moved resourcing within Home Affairs to make sure that we are properly putting resources into the visa processing area of the department. But in addition to that, we've committed significant additional resources into visa processing. So
how much money has the government put back in from what was cut? Well, it seems that $500 million is the magical figure. But hang on, cut $900 million and then put back $500 million? Doesn't that still leave the department with $400 million cut to the budget? So the morning after the federal budget, the SBS reporter was brave enough to put this to the PM.
Firstly, on the migration front, 195,000 is the intake coming into the permanent migration program, but you haven't restored all of the funding back into Home Affairs. It was cut by $875 million, about 500 is going back in under your government. Why the shortfall?
It's a pretty remarkable question to say we've put $500 million additional funding in and spoken about a shortfall. This is a substantial improvement in funding for Home Affairs. We are getting the processing of visas going again. We had inherited almost 1 million people were in the queue for visas in this country, and that's had a real impact on skill shortages. It's also having an impact on families for family reunion. It's having an impact on people who want to visit Australia and on our economy, as well as that human impact.
Clearly not the answer she was looking for, and in fact, was it an answer at all? It was interesting to see the PM so quick to go on the offensive, seemingly like a fresh graduate of Donald Trump's summer training camp. There was no doubt he was ready and practiced to come out fighting on that question. So it seems on one hand the government is crying about how Liberals got us into this mess of skill shortages and visa processing, but we are not even prepared to restore the Immigration Department's budget back to what it used to be. Now, it wasn't until I saw that reaction from the PM that I realised the Home Affairs Minister and the PM seem to have been rehearsing their answers together. Take a look at this.
But you could reverse the cut. Why not just do that?
well, what we're trying to do is make sure that visa processing gets back on track, and that is what we're doing. We're trying to do is make sure that visa processing gets back on track, and that is what we're doing.
Now take a good look at that last expression. You do not need to be a mind reader to see what's going on inside there. Clearly a great discomfort in answering this question, or is it just pure annoyance to be put on the spot to answer any difficult question? The PM, however, was well practiced and ready not to look so awkward in his response when asked. Is the government really putting everything they can into solving this crisis? process. They are evading questions about budget figures that even a preschooler could see just don't add up. Doesn't the Australian public deserve more transparency? To be sure, this $400 million cut to the Immigration Department's budget is not going to affect our visa processing efforts. Watch this space and I'm sure this issue will develop further. And viewers, don't be concerned for my safety raising these issues. I'm filming from a secret location where they will never find me. And speaking about skill shortages, The Australian wrote an article highlighting the research conducted by Austrade. Proves how much international students can ease these skill shortages. Well, that's great, but now all we need to do is allow students who completed their courses during the pandemic or before it, give them a chance of a second 485 graduate visa so they can help stay and work. The Immigration Minister Andrew Giles himself came under fire from The Australian for attending a Tamil community fundraiser. They reported the minister attended the gathering after hours and did not use any government resources. However, one has to wonder, is a cabinet minister really not working after hours by attending events? Still, it is the job of a minister to mingle with the community and to hear their concerns. So overall, we can't see what the fuss is all about. The Guardian newspaper reported how each of the 100 immigration detention guests at Nauru are costing the community a staggering $75,000 a day for each of them, and to keep them there together, $750,000 a day in total. Oh my goodness. Wouldn't it be a better and cheaper policy to let these detainees into Australia, place them on a working farm for a couple of years, and then send them home with $200,000 each so they can buy their own farms? The cost of these detention centres is really crazy and there must be a better solution. According to The Australian, the Immigration Department is considering opening the door to more English tests to increase the competitiveness amongst English providers. Apparently, the 5 current tests that can be used for immigration purposes need to reapply for approval, and another 4 are going to seek it as well. The more the merrier. I can still remember the disastrous days when the IELTS test was the only approved format, and people would spend thousands of dollars on their mysterious merry-go-round, just missing half a mark on each of the components in each test setting. I had one client who sat the test a staggering 31 times before he finally got the result he needed. And it's time for a couple of our viewers' comments, and thank you to you all for making the time to make those comments. Beverly writes in, "Thanks for the video, Karl. Absolutely delightful news and happy to hear they've increased the parent visas to 8,500. Hope they can process them as soon as possible. Thank you for keeping us updated always." Happy to bring you the good news, Beverly, and to all those families waiting to bring their parents to Australia. And the next is from Deanna. "Is there any news about the temporary graduate visas regarding the extension from 2 to 5 years, depending upon the occupation? Thank you." Not yet, Deanna, but we expect some announcement on this before Christmas, so fingers crossed. Well, it's been a very busy week for us here with the budget edition and now this Sunday edition. We hope you've all had a chance to enjoy both of them, and stay tuned for next week's program. Need help? Please book a time to see us by visiting our website at australiavisa.com. If it's urgent, please call us to see if we can squeeze you in somewhere. As always, take care out there and I'll see you next time, so bye for now.